and good afternoon to everybody. And big thank you to the American Hotel and Lodging Association for having me today. I'm thrilled to be here, and mostly I just want you to know that I understand how brutal this year has been, and am committed to working closely with you to do everything that I can, we can, and the Biden administration can to get the industry back on its feet. As Chip said, leisure is coming back, and I'm hopeful for a reasonably robust summer. But there's a long way to go, and I'm very aware just how devastated the industry was by the pandemic. Since January of 2020, travel and tourism industry lost over $621 billion in revenue, and the hotel industry lost over $146 billion in that same time frame. Revenue for the industry still down at least 20% compared to 2019 levels. I will say, until recently, I was the governor of Rhode Island. It was heartbreaking for me to see big, beautiful hotels closed and vacant for months at a time. And so I really understand the challenges that we face. Soon, we will be making an announcement that my department will be investing $750 million in the travel and tourism industry. We're working feverishly to get that money out the door quickly here, because I know time is of the essence. And we're also working to make sure that that money will be allowed to be used very flexibly, because I understand also that travel and tourism is local, has local needs. In some cases, states might want to invest in a convention center, in other states, outdoor recreation, other states, marketing. So help is very definitely on the way. $750 million will be coming out of the Department of Commerce soon, specifically for the travel and tourism industry, where there are still so many folks out of work. I also do want to take just a second to highlight the President's American Jobs Plan, which is what we are working so hard to get Congress to pass. It's very, very relevant for your industry, rebuilding infrastructure, investing in job training, investing in airports, trains, roads, bridges, parks, clean water is vital to what you do in improving and enhancing tourism experience. And so we are working very hard and urging Congress to pass the President's package. And I would just ask you to do the same, which is to say, understand it's a huge package, understand parts of it and advocate for it, because I think it will put tens of millions of Americans back to work and will definitely help your industry. But I look forward to working with you in the weeks and months ahead, working very closely with you. And I definitely know that better days are ahead for your industry in leisure travel and in business travel.
All right, Secretary Raimondo, thank you for that. So before I get to the tough questions, hopefully this is an easy one. So next week, I'm actually traveling to Boston. Huge Red Sox fan. I'll be making my way to Fenway Park, as I always do. During that trip, I'm going to Rhode Island to speak to the Rhode Island Hospitality Association. So for me, that's one of the trips I'm taking this summer. That's one of the best ones I'm going to have. For you, where are you traveling this summer? I know you got an unbelievably tough job. Are you going to be able to take off a few days and get some travel in?
I am, although I'm going to go home because we miss home, and I'm biased, but nothing's better than summer in Rhode Island. So we are excited to spend some time on the beach and have some lobster rolls and fried clams and everything that makes Rhode Island wonderful. But I hope you go and enjoy your time next week. I always used to joke that the best restaurants in Boston were actually in Providence. So I hope you have a good time.
Well, the best lobster rolls are, I know that for a fact.
Definitely.
So look, you took over at a time that I can't imagine that any Commerce Secretary has ever had to face the situation that you faced when you came into office. And now as the country emerges out of it, and even in our own industry, it's been somewhat of an uneven recovery. Tourist destinations doing well, urban city centers not doing as well. How do you prioritize the multitude of challenges that you're facing in your role in reigniting this national economy?
Yeah, so you're right. It's an incredibly important moment, and we're facing challenges that we've really never faced before. Challenges brought about by a pandemic and climate change, breakneck rate of technological innovation in our economy, which is displacing a lot of workers. So I'm proud to work for President Biden, who gets it. He gets this and understands that we have to face these challenges head on and work with you all and with small business and the private sector to meet these challenges. I think, we are looking to make a once in a generation capital investment in America and in America's infrastructure. You can't have a thriving competitive economy with crumbling roads and bridges, with a third of people who live in rural lands not having broadband. So the first step is just investing in America so we can have a strong foundation. And then I want to work closest with the industries that have been hardest hit, including your industry, because as you say, that the pandemic didn't hit all parts of the economy or all populations equally. Women have been hit a lot harder. People of color have been hit hard. Your industry has been hit harder. So we talk about equity, and equity means really leaning into the areas that have been hardest hit.
Yeah, that's important. I think when all this started, I can remember last March and April, as Congress was looking at how you create programs to help everybody. It quickly, over time, the next few months after that, it quickly became apparent who was hit worst, who was hit first, and we're in that category, and we certainly feel it. And we see some glimmer of hope, but it's not quite there. But speaking of hope, your department recently had $3 billion in the Economic Development Administration that is part of the Commerce Department to promote tourism and hospitality. When you get a grant like that amount of money, how do you prioritize what happens first?
Yeah, so it's a huge amount of money, and we're excited to do it. It will be a competitive process, so states and cities all over the country will be able to compete. And we're still working through the details of exactly how the funding will be distributed. But as I said earlier, our intention would be to take into account which communities have been hardest hit, which populations have been hardest hit, which industries like yours have been hardest hit, and balance that along with the quality of the submissions, and just really look to make sure that this money provides investments that set the table for long-term economic growth and job creation.
So as we look at kind of where we are today, and I think I get this question a lot, what keeps us awake at night as we think about the future? It's not the next 3 months. I mean, we're seeing obviously nice levels of leisure travel, people taking those vacations they couldn't take last year, and that's wonderful. I mean, getting families back together and enjoying that time is critically important. What we're really concerned with is what happens with business travel post Labor Day. From your perspective and your role leading the Commerce Department, where do you see business travel, and what can be done to kind of get that back on track? Because the quicker that happens, the faster our industry can recover.
Yes. So I hear you. And I want you to know that I'm doing everything I can as an advocate to help reopen key travel corridors to business, internationally, like the US-UK corridor, and also just encouraging people to think about traveling again. I have traveled. I was in Brussels last week for business. I intend to continue to travel throughout the country in my role as Commerce Secretary. There are safe ways to travel, particularly for those who are fully vaccinated. The CDC has said so, and with the CDC clearing the way, I'm going to do everything I can to revitalize domestic and international business travel through the multiple agencies that report up to me. The President Biden's team has done an extraordinary job increasing vaccination rates to 70%. And we need to continue to do that. We need to get everybody vaccinated. But it's, as vaccination rates increase, more businesses will feel comfortable with travel. And again, as I said, we have to focus, as we are, on reopening the international corridors. So I'm actually hopeful that post Labor Day, we really will see a nice uptick in business and international travel.
Well, that's a perfect segue for my last question, and it is on that international travel. I mean, the announcement that came out with President and Prime Minister Boris Johnson, that was helpful. And we can look at the UK and see what they've done on vaccines, and it follows closely to what the US has done. But boy, it would be nice to get the rest of Europe opened up a lot more quickly. You mentioned post Labor Day. Is that the general target? And what would that look like? Do you think it's going to be certain parts of the world will open up and then we'll slowly move to the rest of the globe, or would be taking, the entire EU at once?
Yeah, it's a little bit hard to say. I would say this: easing travel restrictions safely is a top priority of mine and of the administration's. It's essential that as we go beyond the COVID-19 restrictions, we clearly communicate expectations as early as possible, and that those expectations be led by data and health guidance. But I can promise you this: getting business travel going again and getting international travel going again is a top priority from the president and the White House on down across government. And we are collaborating across government to do everything that we can in order to ease travel restrictions safely, following the CDC guidance and, getting us back to traveling. I had a phone call or a Zoom, I think last Thursday or Friday, with the CEOs of all the airlines. I have been in continuous contact with CEOs of the cruise lines. I've been engaged very actively with stakeholders across your industry. We hear the message loudly and clearly. We know how important this is. And all I can do is assure you that we're on it and we're going to move as quickly as is safely possible.
Well, Secretary, we can't thank you enough for your time today, but more importantly, your leadership, what you're doing for our country. It is truly public service, and we recognize that, and thank you for that. Please count on us as a resource to help you in anything and everything that you're trying to accomplish, because we can all get through this together, and with your leadership, we certainly will. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Chip. Have fun in Rhode Island.
Oh, I will. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.